we've got the Nick Vertucci here, co-owner of HCL High Stakes Poker. We're going to talk a little bit about the HCL app that you guys just dropped. Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's really self-explanatory. It is our own HCL app. You go to the App Store, download it. Basically, it's going to have all the players' profiles, has a news feed, has past streams, live streams that are currently going, putting stats also. So a lot of the stuff people want to know about wins and losses. There might be some VIP sections later that might be something to pay for, that you can have interactive chat with players or communication, but we're working on that. Yeah, all that. It's going to have everything.
Nice. Yeah, I saw a little bit of the VIP stuff. It looked like it was going to be a subscription model, and you get access to a group chat with some of the players and something about giveaways I thought I saw as well.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of giveaways. Basically, what we've accomplished there at Hustler is we're kind of leaning into the whole Hustler family, and even on the floor at the casino, that's what it feels like. Of course, all of our players and our chat pros. I mean, it's becoming a real community. So we just figured it was one more piece to put together just to continue to communicate with the people that love our show.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And to attest to the chat pros, and you guys have really built, like you said, a family. It's really awesome to see. It's definitely a dedicated fan base and very much like a family. And you guys are definitely leading the way for the growth of poker, which is always something I advocate for.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. So a little bit more on the HCL app. We see past streams, we'll see upcoming streams, some stats, anything else that's coming up, anything like wagering on streams, anything like that?
That probably, I don't think will be on the app, but I'll tell you what, it's funny you mentioned that. That is something that I'm going to be working on at a higher level. I'm not going to talk about it now because there's some really cool things that I think are coming up, for HCL, some stuff that I can't mention now, but I'll tell you what, when I'm ready to drop it, I promised Snoop Dogg, who you're going to be talking to today, and his buddy Coco, that I would drop it on their spaces. But you will be the very next one that can put out a piece on it. So I'll dedicate that to you. So I got some cool things coming up, which by bringing up the live betting reminded me of that. But we'll talk about it. Yeah, that's on our radar, like at real soon.
That's exciting. That's very exciting to hear.
Yeah,
it should again just continue to increase your guys' insane growth. So along with the app, obviously you got the streams every night. Last night, this is being recorded on September 13th. Last night, there was a little bit of a new character introduced known as the King.
Let's run it down. I gotta go, brother. What's that?
That's cool.
I live by the sword, brother.
Yeah.
Fuck
nice.
you, chat. Y'all talk this shit. I live by the sword, baby. I gave y'all this shit.
You were at the table during that whole stream. I watched it. I loved it. It was extremely entertaining. I think he's exactly what we need. Somebody that's just there to have a good time and gamble. I guess take us through the experience with him, how he got onto the game, and your experience with him at the table.
All right, so you guys know Johnny from Missouri. He's a regular. He played last night. He was in seat 2. Just met that fella. I think they do a little business together. Johnny's in the insurance business, and somehow the invite happened. They flew over on that cat's private plane. Apparently, he owns a big freight company. He does very well, and he wanted to play on the show, so we gave him a seat. I think he started drinking at around 8 a.m. that day. We start playing at 4. I think it was pretty obvious that he was somewhere else some of the time. He was. I tell you what, we were warned that he is a special person when it comes to. I think he played like a tournament and got 4 timeouts. I think this is his shtick, right? Or just his personality. I don't know. Anyways, his name's Mike, but he goes by the King, and he was something, man. He was his first thing to me was, "You work here?" And I said, "Yes, I work here." He goes, "Yeah, you look familiar." I said, "Yeah, I work here." And then he proceeded to nobody took it wrong, but he held up the game a little bit because he was a little bit somewhere else, and he was saying some things like if he won a pot, thank you, things that maybe could tilt some players and stuff. And he did it to me too, and I just laughed at him. I just thought it was hysterical. And he was making comments, he was flexing the whole time, and saying that he's going to be father. I'm going to come here to father all the children, and shit like that, right? Which the chat is interesting because once they start rooting against you and disliking you, they have an affection for you too. So like everyone wants him back, just like they wanted Mr. Unlucky back when he came and did his antics. I don't know if you remember him. Anyway, so then he checked his phone, and some of his buddies said the chat's were hating on him. So he was going, fuck
Yeah.
you, chat, and the whole thing, egging him on, which, that whatever. So this is interesting. This is something nobody saw. So I went to the lockers to check my phone, go take a break, go to the restroom, and he was by the lockers. And he was telling the staff that it was 2 hours left in the show or more. And he was telling the staff, yeah, I think I'm going to bounce. And he says, yeah, I think I'm going to go. And I said, oh, okay, what's up? He said, well, I'm up so much. Like, I don't really think I could win much more. I'm just going to leave. I said, okay, well, listen, I said, it's your money. You please, if you need to bounce, you do that. We never, whatever. I said, but I want to be strict. Did you enjoy playing in the show? He goes, I love it. I'll be back. I said, no, you won't. I said, you can't win like 30 or 40,000 with half the show left and fucking bounce. Like, I'm not trying to control you. Please leave if you want to. And he didn't understand it. Like he kind of did. He goes, oh, well, then I'll stay. I love the stream. I said, okay, but and I kept trying to explain why, because I wanted him to understand, why. And he kept cutting me off. And every time I talk, he'd say something. And I said, dude, let me explain it to you. And he did it again. I said, okay, I'm going back to the table. I'm done. He goes, no, I'll let you finish. I said, you just can't do that. I said, that's just something the players will be really upset. Like, even in a live game on the floor, like you can do it, but it'll be noted, right? If and so he stayed. Okay, we know that, but no one knew that took place. And then he got in a hand with his buddy Johnny. And I think I remember the number was 17,600 he lost in the pot because it just kept coming up. And I think it really tilted him. Okay. And because he kept talking about it. And from there is when he started doing some crazy shit. And I don't know if he's just trying to get it back. I don't know if he said, fuck it. But the first one was he was challenging everyone to a flip, a $20,000 flip. Of course, Ludacris, who's the most out of his mind, said, I'll take it. They did red and black. Ludacris won, and he was, shipped the 40. Okay. I mean, the 20, excuse me. And then after that, maybe just a few hands, I don't remember what it was. He had whatever left, like 25,000, and he got his cards and he shoved. But not only did he shove, he turned over 6-4 of diamonds with 6 or 7 people behind him to see his hand. Everyone's looking at their cards like, please give me a hand, please give me a hand. And no one had anything. And it was weird because Chris, to my right, like reshoved with 8-7 offsuit. And he had like 3 or 4 people behind him, which was just ridiculous because anyone with any sort of hands going for it, right? And they ran it out. Chris hit an 8, stacked him. He did this, said the king will be back, and bounced.
Yeah, it was like you said. I mean, it was an entertaining stream to say the least.
Yeah, go watch.
That was pretty.
Go watch the end of it.
Yeah, of course. And what you talked about with the locker room, having him obviously, is he familiar with poker? Does he play often, or is he a kind of a new?
I couldn't have a conversation with him. He was unconversable. It was weird. Like, it was just like you saw at the table. Literally every time I opened my mouth to say something, he cut me off. And I waited and I said, dude, let me finish. And he did it like 6 times. That's when I started tapping out. I said, I'm done. Like, leave, stay. I don't care. I'm leaving. So it was hard. I understood that he was total wreck, maybe play some tournaments. But that's just from Johnny, who knew him for about 6 weeks. So nobody really knows.
Well, you found a gem. You found a gem. I enjoyed watching him a ton. I'm super glad to have him back. It's definitely a fine line that you got to walk, especially you putting these lineups together and having people represent your brand. There's definitely a fine line between being unethical or being a bully or whatever word you want to use, and just being flat out entertaining. And I think he walks that line very well. I think he does. He
is. His toes are right on the edge. And, like I said, sometimes players like that will have a tendency to tilt me just because it's just so whatever. But I found him thoroughly entertaining. None of the other players were upset by him. I think if he went any further, it could be. And look, we have a thing. Like, there's been a recent thing, like, I don't know if you saw it, but like this thing with Wesley, and everyone thought like there's something going on, some unethical stuff, which I think we'll find out to be untrue soon. But regardless, with that, like, this is what I say to the poker community. Look, if someone comes onto the show and they're belligerent and they're rude to the staff, or they're extra, like, too far, they're gone. Okay, that's just the way it is. Like, that has to be. But if they're entertaining and they're out of their mind a little bit, they fit in great at HCL, because that's just, we like to have a good time. And the thing that will get you, and I told this to the poker community recently, if you do something in your life that has to do with business, there's always two sides of the story. There's whatever. I'm smart enough to know what's happened to me. I get dragged online. It's false. It's fake news, but you got to deal with it, right? And so if you're a poker cheat, you'll never play. If you come onto our show and you angle and you cheat, you're gone. If you're proven cheat in poker, gone. Other than that, we fucking run a poker show. That's it. And if there's other things, if someone's like a horrible criminal or something with kids, whatever, you're gone. We don't want nothing to do with you. But just standard stuff, people have to understand. These are just poker players, right? It's like anything. You're going to play poker with a ton of people you don't know, and we found him quite entertaining. If he goes too far, we'll deal with it later.
Yeah, and it's funny you said that. We'll pivot a little bit here, talking about people that have done unethical things and aren't necessarily the best kind of people. Let's talk a little bit about Rob Mercer, and obviously you've had some things to say about him on your show, and we spoke to Snoop Dogg, the guy that introduced him to you. So I guess just kind of let's hear a little bit more of your thoughts on that.
And I'll be happy to give you the macro look at this. Look, it was, I don't remember the date. I said it on my show because I had my note. I don't remember now. It was back in June. I was leaving the Hustler. Well, first of all, I got a text that day from Doug that said, "Hey, I see what you're doing for Cody. Man, it's so cool. There's this guy, he lives close to me. He's got, cancer. He's terminal, blah, blah, blah. So if there's anything you do, let me know." I said, "Cool, dude. I'm headed to the show to play, but yeah, we'll talk about it." I play, I lose 71K, most I've ever lost in my show by double, which is crazy because these games play so big, but I had the worst night I've ever had. I was totally tilted. I was on the way home. I went into the spaces and and all the guys were in there, and Rob Mercer was in there. And I started listening to his story. Immediately, I felt ashamed of myself for even feeling like even down, because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm healthy. I'm retired. I'm financially set. I got a family. Like, oh, I play in the greatest poker show in the world on a regular basis. Like, shame on me for like kicking the can on the way home. And it just like made me, I felt emotional. And they were talking about trying to get him in the main event. They'd already started a GoFundMe for him, and they were like 8K away from getting him in the main event. So I got on and I just said, "I will cover the 8K. If you don't raise it, I got it." And then the next day or later, I started thinking, wait a minute, I can use my platform to really get the community behind this kid, and let's help him out. And I did that. I did a live show for him. I rallied a lot of my, high-end VIPs, and, he got to the main event and then some, and then some. And what happened was, I never considered one second that this kid did not have cancer, because number one, everybody said, people were telling me it was vetted. They knew him, and who the fuck, excuse me, can I cuss?
Of course.
Who the hell? Yeah. Who the hell, does that? Like, it's just above my pay grade. Like, I could never do something like that. So it just wasn't even on my radar. So we just leaned in. But what started happening is, he was really like, I was communicating with him on the regular, and he was really negative, which I thought, okay, if this kid's that negative, I don't have terminal cancer. I can't judge him. I just tried to be positive with him, support him. But it was really like, oh my God, like he won't stop. Everything was just a negative. It turns out to be a hustle, of course, which is like perfect, because the worse you're feeling, the more you want to help someone, right? And so we get to the main event. He was totally negative through the main event. "Oh, I can't believe I got beat with aces." This, I'm like, dude, you've been playing poker. Like, it happens. Like, the greatest players bust out day one. It doesn't matter. But, I think, all right, poor kid, whatever. And so, but prior to the main event, he was seen in the pits gambling. And some of the people that donated kind of questioned him. And this was before the main event, started questioning him. And he came to me and he's like, "I'm being questioned by these people. This is bullshit." Like, he was really negative. And I still wanted to like support him. So I kind of humored him and said, "Yeah, that's not cool. But like, hey, man, like, these guys want to make sure you're going to play. They don't know you." And it just kind of soured me, but I just thought, well, he's just in a bad place. Then he soured me through the WSOP. And then he made a post about some nonsense story about him sleeping with some porn star. Everybody knew it wasn't true. I mean, it just was. And and so he kept texting me, and I just was a little bit less responsive. So he called me out. He's like, "Hey man, like, what's up? Like, you don't even respond, like, whatever." And I said, and he like called me out. And I said, "Rob, okay, you're asking me." I said, "Look, man, like, I can't be in your shoes, but bro, like, people that are helping you, you're dragging. You're on the internet fighting with people on Twitter and using foul language and making," and I said, "And just between me and you, I don't believe your story." about that. And they said, it's just bad form. Like, you can do what you want. You're your own man. I helped you. It's cool. But like, I kind of just want to distance myself from it. I don't like how you're acting. Well, he like, wow, I'm not going to be controlled by anyone. He kind of just snapped, like disappeared. And then some weeks later, I get contacted by Snoop Doug, and he's like, hey man, I got this weird feeling something's awry. Because there's been some stuff that was going on. And I'm like, oh no, like really? He goes, yeah, but don't say anything because like a bunch of people are looking into it. So a couple of weeks go by, I don't say anything. I'm just crossing my fingers, please. And it's a weird dichotomy because, I don't want this kid, I don't want anyone to have stage 4 cancer. So it's not like I want him to have it, but at the same time, like, oh my God, what if this is a hustle, right? So either way sucks. And so one night, whatever date I gave on my YouTube channel, that when I did the piece on it, Doug said that, Rob's on Spaces right now, he's flipping out. And, he sent me a bunch of DMs dragging you, meaning me. And he sent them to me. And he was like, oh yeah, well, Vertucci this, all that, because he thinks I'm one of the people that are questioning him. And I wasn't, but he's paranoid because he's probably guilty and whatever. And so he said a bunch of shitty things about me. And I got on the space and I took the speaker and I said, dude, what are you doing? Like, I helped you more than anyone. Like, what the fuck's your problem? And so he got real defensive, did a bunch of stuff. Then the community was turning on him on that space. So then he backed off and like said, okay, I'm sorry, this, that. Anyways, long story short, right then when he was being questioned and it was coming out, he disappeared. He deleted his social media. He got rid of his GoFundMe. Now, in my opinion, you don't do that if it's legit. You go get the proof. You are humble. You are a lot of things. So it was a real gut-wrenching moment for me to realize, oh shit. And so this is what I say. We're looking into it. There's some people investigating it. I'm not going to get into that. And I take accountability, like in the sense that, look, man, I thought it was legit. I was told it was vetted, and I supported him. It is what it is. That's it. The intentions by everyone were pure.
Yeah. I think that's all there is to say, to be honest. That what you guys did was to try to help a person that was on their last line, and for that to blow up. I mean, who would even think that someone would lie?
Can't even imagine it. What's the sad part is, it will hurt people that need help.
Yeah.
Because even myself, if you come to me now, I still want to help people. I still have a heart for that, but I'm not as prone to put my name on it or even help anyone now, because like that was a shitty thing. So I really say shame on him, not for everything he did and what he took from everybody, because a lot of the people he took from, not everybody, but some of them have a lot of money, and even though that sucks, they'll be okay. But the people that don't get help in the future because of this piece of shit, if it's true that he doesn't, have cancer.
Yeah, it's tough because why? I mean, even just in your shoes, why would you put your neck on the line for somebody that could be as maleficent as what?
Yeah, I mean, I might have to go to a doctor's appointment and get the full thing before I'd ever do something like that again, because, like I said, prior to this, I know myself. Okay, I have a lot of money. I'm fine, meaning I'm fine. Enough money. How about that? Even if I didn't, I could not do something like that. I can't even, it wasn't even something I could even consider, but now I have to, because I guess this shit happens, right?
Yeah. Crazy world, man. Crazy fucking world.
Yeah.
So let's move away from that. Let's talk about any big events coming up for Hustler. $1 Million Game was an absolute success. You got a lot of kickback from that during it, but I think now looking back, everyone is very happy with what you guys put on. I was happy throughout the entire thing. I enjoyed it the entire weekend. It was a great way to start the summer. Anything like that coming up for Hustler that you can discuss?
Well, the first thing I'll say is funny, like you said, you get pushback. The poker community is a funny community. Right. You're going to give them something pretty special, but you get dragged no matter what for 10, 20 different things. And it's funny, I've always said this, HCL could jump in a pool and save a baby, and we'd be dragged for wasting water from splashing water out of the pool. Right. So that's just life. We're used to it now. We do feel it was a huge success. It was four days of the highest poker ever televised, #1 biggest hand in poker history between Guan and Wesley. We had some great moments. It was surreal. I'm so proud of it. Will we be doing that again? Yeah, probably. We'll see. We do have something I don't want to mention that this next year coming up we want to try. I think it's even more lofty than the $1 million games that we did. And by the way, we were going to do $1 million game. We wound up doing 4. So it was just insane how much traction we got. But one thing's coming up that I'm really excited about. I've talked about it before. We have developed and are developing a poker documentary, and we've been working on it now since before the $1 Million Game. It's called All In for Millions. It's a documentary about the building of the $1 Million Game. And it's all behind the scenes stuff with players, with HCL, with us, with the owners. And it's very highly produced. And I think it's going to be something the poker community's never seen at this quality. So probably by next year, sometime at the beginning of the year, I believe it'll be out. We're hoping to run it up to somewhere like Netflix or Hulu or something, but if not, it'll be on YouTube. Either way, we wanted to do it, and we think it's going to be amazing. And I am really excited about putting that out.
Yeah, I'm excited. I forgot even about that. I remember during the or right after the event, you guys announced that there was a lot of things that happened during that process. I mean, Tony G dropping out and then coming back that same weekend. All the kickback from Reddit and Twitter about dropping the stakes and then raising them again. So it should be very entertaining. I'm very excited to watch that.
Yeah, people don't understand the undertaking to put something like that together. I mean, I didn't even do my podcast for 3 weeks prior, and then the WSOP hit and I took a break. Ryan and I were burning the midnight oil trying to put that, because that game was coming together. And then we had Eric Person cancel, we had Tony G cancel, and then if this guy canceled, this guy, it was falling apart on us. Like legitimately, we were like, oh fuck. And so we were working around the clock to put this thing back together. We got Tony G back on board. We got some insane players to play, some legends. And it worked out. But to see that happen, you're going to actually watch the process of that, which I think people are going to really enjoy. And they're going to learn a lot about the players and about behind the scenes at HCL, about Ryan, about myself. I think it's going to be cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big advocate for growing the game in general. So, and I think this will do that. It'll expose a lot of people that aren't necessarily poker fans to what Hustler is doing, and yeah, exposing the poker in general. All right, Nick. Well, thank you very much for taking the time and discussing all these things with us. It was great to have you. Again, anything you'd like to plug? Obviously, Nick Vertucci show, HCL every night. Anything else?
Yeah, we run, HCL on YouTube 5 days a week, 5 p.m. Pacific. You could watch shows live. We've done it for 2 years now. Haven't missed a night. Over 500 shows. As you know, I do the Nick Vertucci show. That's just a passion project. It's nothing. I started that a year ago, and I interview players. So you can go on YouTube. By the way, if you do watch, please sub, because it's weird. I have sometimes 30,000 people watching a video and not all of them subs. So I think that's something we should always do. If you like a product, it helps continue doing what we do.
Of course. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. All right. Thank you, Nick.